Welcome to another episode of Hiring and Empowering Solutions. My name is Molly McGrath, and I am the founder of this Office Altering podcast. I'm just going to dive in today. You all, hopefully, if you've been a long-time listener, you know all about our deal, our gig. If not, if you're a first-time listener, welcome. And please check us out at hiringandempowering.com. You can click on our podcast guests and listen to our amazing past guests and episodes that we've been doing this for 13 months now. So hard to believe. And just so excited about today's guest. Today's guest is Jaclyn Foster of Paralegal Services, LLC. And I am so excited. Again, guys, so often you'll hear me about guests when I introduce my guests, you'll hear quite often that we connect on social media. So if you all do not believe in the power of social media, especially for connecting with strategic alliances, power partners, etc., get on the train now. I think the past few guests that I've had, I said, oh, I reached out to them on LinkedIn, or, oh, they reached out to me on LinkedIn, or we had a mutual friend on Facebook or LinkedIn. And lo and behold, I get an inbox from Jaclyn on LinkedIn. And immediately she had a really great intro in regards to, I've been listening to your podcast. I think we have synergy. Immediately we got on the phone. We scheduled an early morning phone call. For me, I'm in Colorado. She's in Wisconsin. I was walking around the lake with my doggies, and I think we had maybe a 15-minute call. We were on the phone for like 45 minutes, and I could have talked to her for hours because she's everything that our attorneys have been looking for. I was so excited, and I'm excited to introduce Jaclyn to you all today. So Jaclyn has worked in big firms. She's worked in agencies. She's worked in small firms, and she has been in the industry and dedicated her entire paralegal career and company to serving small law firm and solo practitioners. In 2018, she began working as a freelance paralegal for multiple firms across the nation, including freelancing for a Supreme Court candidate. And prior to becoming a freelance paralegal, Jaclyn's worked directly for small firms and solo practitioners in the capacity of both a paralegal and a COO, office manager, CEO, whatever terminology, law firm administrator that resonates with your firm. And what I love about our conversation is that when we were speaking, her passion and focus for small firms came out so loud and clear. And I just, as many of you know me, I'm very, very, very passionate about solo practitioners, small firms. I actually, as a company, we don't even work with big firm at all. They call me, I refer them out to Robert Half Legal or some of my other strategic alliances that I have. And I always say, because I want to be connected to the heartbeat of the business. And I think you can move mountains in that way when you have a team-centric approach. And when Jaclyn was sharing with me that she began her management experience in discovering small firms' unique ways of practice, she quickly developed a deep recognition for the common struggles that these law firms face. And small firms can experience, as we all know, extreme fluctuations in cash flow, caseloads, staffing, and really making consistency and joy at ease the greatest challenge of a business. And so often we'll hear from solo practitioners, I feel like I own a job versus a business. I don't feel like an entrepreneur. I feel like a pack mule day in and day out. And small firms have a very difficult and different challenges in being able to afford a paralegal with 10 plus years of experience. Of course, when you, in this day and age, you all call me for staffing all the time, and you say, I want a paralegal with 10 plus experience in, let's say, estate planning. Like, we're looking for a purple unicorn. There's 20,000 estate planning law firms across the country. And so and you're not going to get anyone for under $75,000. I don't care if you're in Wisconsin, Kentucky, or San Francisco. It really paralyzes the attorney. So when I met Jaclyn, she talked to me about her business model. She talked to me about her pricing model and the agency that she has built for paralegal services. I think it was last week. I'm like, I have to interview you next week immediately.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to shut up and I'm going to turn the mic over to Jaclyn. And what we're talking about today is quit doing the big firm, little firm mentality. So you all want to listen up. And Jaclyn, thank you. Thank you so much I'm like, can we record today? You're like, no, how about next week?
Yes, I was very eager to get on and talk with you because we just connected so well when we were talking that day. I felt like I was having coffee with like my business mentality soulmate, because it was like we just both had the same views about everything with small firms, solo practitioners, and it just felt really right that we were on the same page. So I'm excited to be here today. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. So let's dive in. Talk to us a little bit. You and I started even talking this morning and you're like, wait, record. I'm like, okay, I do that so often. So we were just diving into the conversation about quit doing the big firm, little firm mentality. Like, talk to me about what that means to you.
Sure. So, because when we were saying, we were talking about a lot of firms when we address their staffing needs and find a need for somebody specialized to come in, especially with solo practitioners. I see a lot. They have a lot of work if they're networking right and finding the right clientele, and they're starting to get high value clients, big cases, difficult jurisdictions, whatever it may be. And they are the only brains behind the operation, or the only people that can sit down and do that work. So they take on all hats in their firm and end up becoming stretched way too thin, because nobody can realistically be productive 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's not realistic. So when they start doing that and they get in the mentality that I can't afford somebody to do the level work that I can do, I need to hire an associate attorney in order to do something like that, but I can't afford them. Or I need to hire a paralegal, but the ones that are available in my area are little to no experience. Maybe they're a bank teller, retail, somebody with a retail background, or they just are way too expensive to compete, because a lot of these small firms are kind of on the outskirts of the big city or right directly in the big city. And they're competing with job postings that are offering a $75,000 and up salary to somebody with 5+ years experience, 10 years experience. So they're having a hard time like outsourcing or delegating that attorney level work that needs to be done within their firm. So that's where they think, well, I can never compete with the big firms. I can't compete with the salaries. I can't compete with their offers and their benefit packages and things of that nature. So that's where I found a passion in making sure that we find a solution that these small firms and solo practices can compete with the big firm. They can have the big firm mentality just in a perfect little package that makes them so much more approachable for their clients. They're small town, you can relate to them, they're right up the street, but they have the ability to go against the big sharks in litigation or whatever it may be. So that's where I started to find a passion for finding and announcing to these small firms and solo practices that there is a solution for you, and you do have access to not only senior level paralegals with 10 years experience, we're talking 15 to 30, because I found a big group of paralegals that I asked, who would like to assist me in some larger projects for clients on, part-time basis, hours here and there. And everybody raised their hands. It sounded like their dream job. So just to be able to have that flexibility, they're, on the end of their career, or maybe their firms are starting to slow down, especially right now with COVID, a lot of layoffs, furloughs, things of that nature. So there is the right paralegal out there to match with the right attorney out there, the small firm solo practice that can literally handle associate level, if not almost partner level work, because some of these paralegals are absolutely brilliant and absolutely micro focused at what they do to be able to support you in the way that continues to promote your ability to take on big cases, not be a little firm compared to the big firm. You're a big firm condensed into a very approachable small town attorney that people are going to be drawn to, because, big firms are intimidating to a lot of clients out there looking for help on a wrongful death case or on a personal injury case. It's easier to just communicate with that small firm. That's why I love small firms. I'm from a small town grown. That's just who I am. I understand the mentality of the people in small towns, that they need those small firms to make them feel comfortable, but you can still go against the big sharks, So that's where I found a way to support, for attorneys to be able to support that desire in their hearts to take on big cases, have very specialized people on their team to handle, somebody might be specialized in appeal writing, somebody might be specialized in specifically handling asbestos cases. There's paralegals out there that are very specialized and that can help each individual small firm. And that's my position in in what I do.
Yeah, and I love when we are talking that it is really truly a mentality. It's a belief system. It's not true. So often when I talk to attorneys and they say, well, we can't compete with big firm in salary or benefits or packages or things of that nature, but when we start hiring for them, we start talking about attributes, we start talking about skill set, knowledge, things of that nature. I'm like, whoa, time out. Like, you are communicating, you want big firm attributes, so to speak, but you want to pay them, McDonald's wages. Sometimes when people call me, I'm like, my 18-year-old makes more money than that, and he's a high school graduate. But I think it's a mentality. To your point, it's so, when I go to, and I just did a podcast on this, when I go to a law firm's website, so often people, when we're interviewing candidates, they'll say, great, yeah, I would love to start through the interviewing process. And then they'll email me back and they'll say, please remove my name. I don't want to move further in the process. And I will pick up the phone. I'll say, talk to me. Tell me why. Just give me the bottom line here. And they'll say, I'm looking at their website and it just doesn't emulate the persona, the essence, the culture that I want to work at. I'm looking at the attorney's face and they're not smiling. They're sitting behind the 400-pound desk and things of that nature. And it could be a solo practitioner and it is a small firm. Other times I'll have people say to me, oh my gosh, they'll pick up when we're on the phone, they'll pull up the website and they'll say, this is exactly where I want to work. And they'll say, tell me, how do you know that? And they'll go through the website and it has a big firm mentality. So and it's a small firm. So side by side, exact same demographics, exact same, because they're my clients. I know their profits. I know their revenue. I know the bodies in the building. I know the caseload. I know everything about that. But because of the website, going back to big firm, little firm mentality, is that the way that you carry yourself and you project yourself. And I believe, and you and I talked about this, is that because you feel like you don't have the experienced staff, you feel like you don't have faith that you can deliver on your promises in the marketplace. So you almost walk around with like an Eeyore, if you will, and people can pick up on that on your website. It's like, no, hold your head high, because guess what? We got your back. And when you have a team that has your back, whether they're virtual, and guys, listen up here, guys and gals, during COVID, if you have not learned anything, you hopefully have learned that you do not need to be behind the 400-pound desk to be able to provide service to your clients, make a difference, and to make a big difference and impact. And so, it is a mentality, right?
Right. And I love that you said that we have your back, and that is exactly what it is when you're hiring somebody that you feel you can trust with your caseloads. I worked for an attorney that used to tell me that you're like an associate that can't go to court. So he could give me all the work to perform that I would turn back, and it would be associate level work that he can trust. And I just wrote a blog post about, you need to be able to make money while you sleep. Otherwise you will work for the rest of your life and until you die, because you have to start trusting. And I understand 100% about the trust and outsourcing and bringing on big cases and trusting that the people behind you are going to support you on that, because I have a hard time delegating. I'm very much by nature, if I don't do it myself, I don't want anybody else to do it. I need to do it myself, because that's how I know it's absolutely done. But through my freelancing and leaning on here, people there for support, I've learned that if we start leaning on people that we can trust to really push us forward, we can start delegating work and going to the grocery store and coming back, and it's done and it's brilliant. It's ready to almost to be filed. And that's the point for these small firms, is that especially the solo practitioners, you're a one man or one woman show, and it's up to you to bring in the money, make the money, and then pay your people to help you do that. And that's a big, big load to have, but how much better if you can hire somebody with 15 to 30 years of experience that's ready to slow down in their career a little bit and start taking more lucrative cases, trying to be more selective. They want to get out of the rat race of driving to work every day. They would rather stay at home in their pajamas and do some really solid legal research for somebody, something that they really excel at in their career. They're ready to back down. And you have that person behind you producing work that you could expect from an associate attorney, but you're not even paying. When you're outsourcing, you're not paying nearly what you would be paying if you hired a senior paralegal or an associate. And that's where small firms can compete with the big firms by being more tactical. Tactical, is that the word I'm looking for? A little bit more by being resourceful and finding those people that are out there ready to help you.
Yeah. And this is the biggest thing I hear. So 2 things you said. I love that, being resourceful. That's a word I use all the time that really tends to like a gut punch to me. Whenever the first time I really heard that through a podcast somewhere, I was like, wow, like in the context that they use it, being more resourceful, because the way that term lands for me is no more excuses, no more hiding out. There's no shortage of resources out there. And it dovetails into what you said, why your one man, one woman show belief system is keeping you stuck. I think so often attorneys will hide out behind that and an excuse like this quit doing the big firm, little firm mentality. At the end of the day, it's all driven by fear. It's because if you have a team of paralegals, so you and I met, I don't know, a week or so ago, I've already sent you quite a few, clients that I've worked with. I'm like, just call her. I don't know, give her one case, see how it works out, see if it's, if she's a real deal or what have you. And they're like, oh my gosh, like, yes. But I will tell you, and this is the deal, is that so often I could send you 2 attorneys, and I know this, like I know my name. I could send you 2 exact attorneys. They both can send you the exact same matter, same fact pattern, same case study, same everything about the case. You could do the exact same work for them and come back, right? And one will be like, great, they might find a few typos or misuse of pronouns or whatever it might be, and they can find stuff, and then you make the corrections, and hopefully it's a one and done. While another attorney will labor the process, maybe not review the documents and get them back to you for a week or 2, maybe not do what have you, or when they get it back to you, they forget the fact pattern of the ins and outs of the case and the client. So then it's this back and forth. And I tell people, your failure to systematize this and to really let go and trust and be able to get it back in a reasonable time is hiding out, because they know if they get a paralegal that works really well, and I know this sounds ludicrous, but it's so deep in the subconscious of the attorney. If I find you a rock star virtual outsourced paralegal agency that I have full faith and confidence whether I send you a wrongful death, an estate planning case, a DUI case, what have you. We'll have some bumps in the beginning, but we'll figure it out. Then what am I doing? I'm sitting at my desk. So this is the big firm, little firm mentality, because then I got to show up. I actually have to get out behind my desk and I have to go out in the public and get business, because now I have an efficient team. And I know this sounds really insane, but I've been working with attorneys for 25 years, and they're not even aware that they do this, but they stay stuck intentionally, and they're actively choosing to stay stuck, because if they replace themselves, so to speak, and they have an efficient team that can draft a document and then get it to them by the next day or 2 days or 3 days or what have you, and they review it and they reviewed it in a timely manner and get it back. And then it's like, get the client in, get signing, get it closed, get the money, what have you. Then this whole busy and important mindset is what keeps them stuck. And if you get into efficiency, you get into standards, you get into system, then they're like, oh crap, what am I doing now with the rest of my day? You're like, yeah, you're leaving your desk, you're shooting a video, you're going to do a webinar, you're going to go to a chamber event, you're going to go to a leverage speaking event, you're going to write a blog, but there's just this insidious subconscious like hiding out that they do of this dance of, I can't find good people, or this misbelief if I can't compete with big firm.
Right. And I'm so glad you said that about them. I'm going to stay behind my desk and hide, and looking at big firm, small firm. So when I did work for a firm in Chicago, big nationwide firm, went out to lunch with some of the other team members that I worked through with. I traveled to Chicago, met them. It was a great experience, other than getting lost in the big city, because I am a rural girl. So getting lost in the big city, finding these people for lunch. The partners, two of the partners of the Chicago firm that were running this Chicago firm, stopped in for lunch, and okay, we're off to coffee with a bunch of clients, or we're off to here, we're off to there. And I talked to them because this was my biggest experience with a big firm like this. And I talked to my colleagues, I guess you could call them, that I work under through the agency I work through. And they said, yeah, you hardly ever see them in the office. If you do, it's basically for office morale and to sign their name on some papers, or, do a big deposition on a big case or something of that nature. But otherwise, they're off in the world. And the reason they can do that, first of all, they have the team behind them. I mean, you look at a big firm like that, just one office in Chicago, they had people specifically for, scheduling medical appointments. They had the people specifically for drafting motions, legal documents. They had clerks. They had subpoena department. They had all sorts of individual working parts that just managed it all. And then they had a big office manager and a assistant office manager to make sure all of these parts were doing their job. And the cool thing is that you look at that model of a firm and how they're nationwide, from West Coast to East Coast, North and South, they're everywhere. And they're able to do that and go out to lunch with potential good clients. They're able to go to a conference. They're able to go and market themselves. And in the small firms that I worked for, networking would be going up to the sawmill up the road and just mingling with a few acquaintances. That's how you get out there. But the reason they can do that is they have the backing to support them that they can trust. Is like the whole firm is being taken care of. And when you narrow that down to like a small firm, you don't need a subpoena department. You don't need a clerk. You don't need just somebody that specifically handles your legal research or your office management or your marketing. You don't need all working pieces. You need one really good person or two or three that can help you with the paralegal work, the associate level attorney work, so you can go network. You need somebody to maybe coach you, help you with the marketing. How do I network? What do I do when I don't have to be behind my desk? What do I do when I can't hide behind my massive stacks of paperwork? Because if you're outsourcing, you're not going to have those stacks. Those are going to, if you outsource and you diligently send to us, that's going to go down in the blink of an eye. You'll be amazed at how fast that backload of work is going to disappear, and that stress is going to go away with it. Now you have that freedom to now look at experts that can help you with networking, help you get that confidence. And the reason you're also going to be able to do that is because you're going to have an efficient team. And when you have an efficient team, it's not an expense, it's an investment. So the way, if you're hiring somebody on site that has 1 year of experience, fresh out of college, or maybe no experience at all, just worked at a bank, they're not going to be productive and efficient in the way that a senior level paralegal is going to be efficient and productive. So, and that's just a given. When an outsourced paralegal works on your cases or something for you, first of all, I do not personally, and I don't think a lot of freelance, knowing the freelance community, I don't believe that a lot of outsourcing freelancers even charge for, little emails and phone calls and things like that. It's about, we have the work in front of us. We're about to write a motion and a memorandum of law supporting. That's when we're clocking in. And the moment we sit up from our desk, we're clocking out. Now, everything we just clocked in for is something you can bill your client for. And so at 3 times the rate you're paying us. So we're making you money, giving you more money to be able to invest in, a publicist or somebody that can help you with marketing. That's how you're going to start growing and looking like you got a big firm. It's just condensed into only a few people that are handling the necessary parts to make you grow, and getting you to that point where you're going to make money while you sleep. And if you don't want to sleep, this is exactly what I wrote in my blog. If you don't want to sleep, go out and network, market, go find something else to advance your business that you enjoy. Or if you literally need to hide behind your work, you have the option to just take on the cases that are really, really exciting for you instead of the mundane day after day cases that kind of lead to burnout. So that's where outsourcing a paralegal, that you're in a small area or you're competing with these big giant firms that are hanging around your office, their salary expectations, you feel the only solution is to hire somebody, train them in. Newsflash, what happens once you get them to a point where they're 7 years experience and they're starting to seek jobs that are going to pay them double what you can pay them? That's why firms have high turnover rates. Small firms have really high turnover rates, which is expensive. And what a waste of time. You train somebody in just for them to leave you for better opportunities. When you're outsourcing a company, you're not dealing with all of that risk, all of that waste of time. You have somebody on your team right away, and it feels like a team. It doesn't feel like you are hiring just this like robot company that's just going to like generate documents for you. Like you have somebody that's at your right hand. It's your right hand man. And that's who you get. It's just they're not physically present in your office, because that's how it saves you money. That is how it's accessible to you, is having them not in your office.
Okay, you just you just said about 15 different podcasts I could go off on shoots. I love everything that you just said because, first of all, I love the analogy of the big Chicago firm where clearly those founders, those senior attorneys realize they are entrepreneurs that own a law firm versus being a lawyer, which most lawyers are like, I'm a lawyer. I'm like, no, you're not. You're a business owner. That owns a law firm. And I love the analogy. I think you guys will even hear every once in a while her internet's kind of going out a tiny bit, because I love, you're in Wisconsin. And I just have to say this because I think it's so cool. Your husband's a logger and has a logging business. And I just think that is the coolest thing in the world. And you get to run the paralegal agency with paralegals up to 30 years experience all over the country. And the analogy that you used of going up to the sawmill is just as effective as being in downtown Chicago, going to Ruth Chris or what have you, because the big firm, the definition of big firm in my eye, is that we are fully confident of who we are as a team, as a law firm, that we provide exceptional, excellent service, compassion, client service, and legal advice and legal documents and what have you. So it's a mindset, it's your mentality. And I know many, many small firms that, at the end of the day, when you're looking at it, at the end of the day, what matters is profit. And when you look at your profit margin compared to big firms, you're crushing it if you're doing business right with the right mentality. And to your point, more often, than not, I will really encourage attorneys that, listen, outsource the paralegal and the legal services, other than when you need an attorney in the office that needs to go to court, et cetera, and invest in a really great client service coordinator, invest in a really great marketing coordinator to be in your office, invest in the people that are boots on the ground in your office, are the Julie McCoys, if you will. They're your cruise directors. They are the people that are really supporting your clients, your referral sources, and holding you accountable to invest in a PR agency, like you said, or marketing initiatives and things of your nature. That's when you will grow. And when you, and it's not even when you said after 7 years or what have you, that the paralegal starts looking for more money and opportunity. It's not even that. Right. I do recruiting, and I can tell you the best way that I find candidates is not people applying to me looking for a job. It's when I inbox people and I say, hey, are you happy? Are you being treated well? Are you getting paid what you're worth? Are you feeling the love? And that's when people start to, again, subconsciously, they're like, no, I'm really happy. And then 2 weeks later, they're like, it's really crazy. Since you asked me that question, I started noticing this. And there's always opportunities at their door. And to your point, I think with the more that you can outsource the legal services, that you can outsource the paralegal and you do legal assistant work as well, right?
So the reason I separate the two, I mean, in a small firm, a lot of people would consider paralegal, legal assistant as like they're the same thing, because the firms that I've worked for in-house, like I actually worked in the brick and mortar, I did both roles. So like I e-service, scheduled depositions, I prepared case pleadings, motions, yada, yada, yada. I did both. I wore both hats, time entry, invoicing, secretarial work, and the really heavy paralegal work, legal research. So the reason I separate the two is to point out that I don't charge a paralegal rate for doing that legal administrative task, because I don't believe in that. It does not require us to use the really deep part of our knowledge and brain to e-file and e-serve a document. So I'm not going to charge you for that paralegal. So yes, I do both sides of it at interchangeable rates.
Oh, that's so great. We could do a whole podcast on, the line of distinction between a legal assistant and a paralegal, because so often when I get on the phone, I'm like, you're having her do what?
Yeah. And the other reason is, and I'm in a lot of paralegal groups, and one that I'm very heavily in, somebody just posted the other day in there that she was really upset. She worked for a small firm, and they push her to get her billable hours. And that's a heavy pressure on paralegals in big firms, you have to bill 7 hours of your day. Like you have to bill that to a client. To paralegals. So then they have, in the small firms, a lot of attorneys try to do that same thing to them, but they're also handling the assistant roles. And so now that small attorney is telling her, well, you can only bill the client like for half, and whether that's ethical or not for like secretarial things. So she was really upset about that, because she's like, I'm not going to hit my quotas, what I'm supposed to do. And so there's a big discussion on there that, this type of work is technically not something that you would see on a bill to a client. You would see the conduct legal research, draft documents, deposition summaries, things of that nature, but you wouldn't see all that stuff. So it just goes right back into the ability to turn around your investment at like multiple ROI, because when you're hiring an outsource, because you're going to, that a little bit of assistant work is going to be not billable to the client, but it's very minimal and less than what you would really realistically pay a W-2 employee to do the same thing. So the necessary tasks of running a firm.
Wow. So what would be one nugget you would leave our listeners with today in regards to how to make that shift in regards to investing in outsourced paralegal services, even in this day and age in 2020, even on the, sort of the backside of COVID, I'm still hearing a lot of resistance and hesitancy and fear of outsourcing paralegal services. What's one nugget you would give people to kind of invite them to open their mind to the possibility of it?
So number one thing, I can definitely understand and relate to that fear of hiring somebody you do not interact with face to face. It's a big risk, especially for new attorneys or grandfathered in attorneys that have been running their practice a certain way for a long time. It is a big shift. You have to, if you're going to seek out a paralegal services company, you have to make sure that they carry a professional liability insurance. I had an attorney tell me, why would you carry that? I've never seen a paralegal be sued for malpractice. And I said, it's just that extra piece of commitment to my client that I take my job seriously. I carry insurance, make sure they're mitigating the risk of confidentiality, have your systems in place, make sure you're very comfortable with their conflict checks, things of that nature. But you have, I would say, to take the leap, do it, because you're going to find at the end of it, I can tell you with confidence, 100% confidence, at the end of it, if you find a paralegal company or you contact me, at the end of 1 month, you're going to look back and say, wow, why did I not do that sooner? Because we will do the work while you sleep. That's literally how good we are at our jobs. I have paralegals that are specialized, like micro specialized in what they do, that they will win you cases and they will bring in more clientele and good referrals for that reason. Just take the leap, try it for a month, see how it goes, and go from there. You don't have to, that's the other way I set up my company, is you don't have to commit to 6 months right off the bat. You can send us one case. You don't have to give access to your entire file. One case, send me one case, let us work it, see how you feel, and we'll go from there. So just take that leap. It's going to give you that competitive edge that other firms that are still hiring bank tellers and retail service providers, you're going to compete with them that way.
Take the leap. Take the leap.
Take the leap.
It's so difficult for attorneys to do, but what I love is you already know what their fears are. So you even have, your own malpractice insurance. You already have, what kind of sweaters in the suitcase they need to increase their confidence to take that leap, if you will. And that right there, number one. Number two is let us give you proof of concept. So give us one document. Let us try it. Give us one case. Let us try it. So you have no excuse in this day and age, folks. 2020, after just coming off a pandemic, the almost coming off of that, and having to scramble to get online, to get virtual, to have people working from home anyways. So now is the time for you to really up-level that and to stop hiding out behind your desk and believing in this mentality of big firm versus small firm. Because guess what? That's just between your ears. It's not truth. And I have heard from clients more and more often, and I have witnessed in law firms for the past 20 plus years that clients would much rather, even especially after this time where people are so supportive of small business. This is your time to shine. This is the time for you to shift your mindset and to really embrace your excellence and to hold your head high and to get out there and to up level. And you're doing people, I love this one saying that I hear all the time, who's going to lose if you don't win? If people don't know about you and you're not out there getting all the paperwork and the legal work off your desk, and you're not out there connecting with your community and letting people know, that's why there's a big firm, small firm mentality, is because my experience, small firms they feel like they can't compete with the marketing budgets, what have you. You don't need that. Just have faith, build it and they will come. And right here, Jaclyn's telling us there's no excuse. There's absolutely no excuse. So hopefully today you will leave this podcast saying, damn right, absolutely. We're the best. Not only are we the fast, but I'm going to make certain everybody knows that, from my website to who answers my phone. And because I am up at the sawmill doing, shaking hands and speaking about who we are and what we do. So
Yep.
I'm going to have in the show notes all of the context of how to get a hold of Jaclyn Foster. It's jf-paralegalservices.com. You're going to see that. I highly recommend you join her blog, check out her website, and schedule a complimentary call with her to see if you speak about your business, speak about your workload, and see how she can support her and her amazing team of, combined hundreds of years of experience, but just there's no excuse. If nothing else, it's a mentality. So shift it into we are the experts.
Absolutely. I very much look forward to hearing from anybody that would be interested in taking their firm to the next level this way.
Excellent. Okay, great. Thank you, Jaclyn. Oh my goodness. Thank you for hopping on here so quick. Thank you for taking such amazing care of my clients that I have sent to you. And thank you for really speaking into this topic that I believe is just a mindset and there's no truth to it. And for inspiring and empowering our attorneys today to really hold their head high and to get out there and stop hiding out behind their desks, and for you to giving them a solution to stop doing that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on here today, Molly. I really appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. So fun. All right, that's it, guys. This has been another episode of Hiring and Empowering Solutions. Until next time, go out there and make a difference. Make some income, make massive impact.